On that occasion, sitting directly behind it won't work. You'll just run into the back of the car. As soon as you pull out, the car slows down, so you better be positioned on a right or left rear quarter of that car in front to pull that air over to you and take the advantage. And all these little things you've got to do. At that speed, we're talking, what, 160, 180, 170 miles an hour down there?
Probably.
Whilst chasing your teammate and not making a mistake of running into your teammate, or the one in front hesitating of which way's that car going, and a fraction of lift on the throttle, and all of a sudden you've got your teammate into the back of you. And try explaining that one back at the pit garage.
Arenberg, the scene of another drama as the number 88 Subaru goes off into the gravels. Subaru obviously with a great rallying heritage, but that was not the desired line, you would say, from the WRX.
I'm going to nominate Arenberg for a BAFTA. This rate, the amount of coverage it's getting.
That is not a nice noise either. I mean, I know, as I say, it's a car used to the loose stuff, but for Carlo Van Dam, drawing on the four-wheel drive there. Klaus Bachler up against, I think, still Conor De Felipe. Oh, there was contact, which nerfed the M3 Touring into a sideways moment. Did Conor De Felipe survive that? He's still, well, I'll do a quick refresh of my screen. Still, he started this lap, Conor De Felipe, ahead of Klaus Bachler, but Bachler has caught him, and he was only 0.2 of a second off the tail of the American at the start of this lap. I just want to make sure that Conor De Felipe is still running, and I'm not seeing a yellow flag actually around the racetrack. Oh, and there we go. In fact, the engine you hear in the background is Conor's, so he is absolutely still on the straight and narrow. Flansgarten. And now the right-hander, the run towards the Stefan Beloff S. Bits of car off on the verge there as well, I noticed, where... And this is where Max Verstappen earlier in the piece went right up against the Armco barrier to driver's right. The flashing lights, the campsites, the catering areas, always a distraction. But you've got to focus on the road in front and ideally on the car in front. You've only got a handful of seconds to assess, right, which car is that, which class is this car likely to be in, how fast is it likely to be going, but the flash of the lights means that the Renazzo Motorsport Cayman goes nice and wide and provides the route through for Conor De Felipe.
We mentioned this in qualifying a couple of days ago, didn't we? On the first day, not top qualifying, but the first day of qualifying, of trying to keep out of the way of other cars. And it's, if you're in a car with a speed differential, i.e. going slower than the faster cars, then you've got your race to do, your time to get, your position to keep. You as much right to be on the track as everybody else. You obviously don't want to get in the way of anybody or hinder anybody's progress, and you don't really want the shame of holding up the leaders or causing anything bigger than that. But you equally don't want to jump out of the way and compromise yourself to let the leaders through. And it's, especially when it's like this, and we could see a little bit of a dry line there, you keeping out of the way or just coming out of the throttle and running a bit wide or whatever to let the leader through, or a faster car through, which it has to have its right in the end, but you run onto the slippy bits, and all of a sudden you think you're doing the right thing and being helpful after you, Claude, and all of a sudden you're off in the barriers or got a problem, or at worst damage the car, at best you've lost time. Why do we do it?
Is that a serious question? I mean, you only have to watch 10 minutes of this race to understand why we're doing it.
I mean, driver, why do you want to put yourself in that position?
Oh, I see.
Because it's capital fun.
Yeah, yeah. And if and when you win it, that is just awesome. I can only imagine. I just noticed a little bit of a tap for the Valkenhorst Motorsport Aston Martin SP10 car. And I'm trying to work out now who was at the wheel of that. That was a tap with Peter Sander.
Just very quickly, Conor De Felipe in
oh, he is, yes.
M3 Touring. I think that's quite a short stop, and I think they're switching on to slicks. They are. Conor De Felipe has come in off the wets in the number 81 BMW M3 Touring and is popping it onto slicks. And I need to have a quick look at my analysis, how many laps he's done, but I don't think that's many laps. I'm going to say 4 or 5 laps, I think, since that car was in being refueled.
It might be as few as 3.
I was going to say, I'd be surprised if it's... Yeah, it'll probably be completely wrong, and he's done 8. But
well, De Felipe came in, I thought, at the same time as the two Mercedes, although they may have been separated by a lap at the time. But yes, BMW M Sport are maybe deciding to switch back and forth to tyres more readily than the Mercedes. Mercedes taking the approach that, well, we've made our decision, let's stay committed to it. We've got the road position as well, still separated by just half a second. But as I say, Fabian Schiller had a side-to-side moment with Peter Sanders. It was actually the Door Motorsport SP10 car. It was an Aston, but with the smaller rear wing, telling me that it was the 169 SRO GT4 entered car. And that runs in the SP10 AM category. For Peter Sander, the current driver, Heiko Hahn, Roland Vashkow and Philippe Charlet. The other thing I wanted to draw your attention to, actually, if you can take your eyes away from the SP9 battle, and there's another moment with a Cayman off the road 952 at Arenberg again. Said Arenberg a lot over the last few laps. That is the Smerlis Racing Porsche 718 Cayman number 952 with driver Kraus at the wheel. So that is Christian Kraus in another four-driver lineup. They have avoided disaster there. And how did Christian Kraus end up there? From quite some way back, gets to the outer line. There's absolutely no grip whatsoever. And in fairly heavily raked gravel now, and not with a conventional rake, it's been torn up by other racing cars. So those troughs are getting deeper and deeper, and it's done quite a bit of damage to the rear of that car.
Yeah, and also brought an absolute patio load of gravel back onto the track there. So you could go down to your local builders merchants, and that will cost you a fortune, but it's free for everybody to run over on the track there and pick up and have your own moment with.
So this SP10 battle, I'm sure our director can't get anywhere close to this, but I just wanted to draw your attention to it because Guilherme de Oliveira, who was leading SP10, this is the fight for what is in other worlds called GT4, the Pro Sport Racing Mercedes AMG, has just been overtaken by the Treble 8 car, and that at the moment is being driven by Philipp Wiskirchen. So 888 to the lead in SP10. De Oliveira drops back to second, but also on the same lap is the 187 FK Performance BMW, the 180 AV Racing by Black Falcon BMW M4, and Jeroen Bleekemolen's not that far away, but he's on the same lap, he's about 40-odd seconds back. But I have to say, 6 hours into this 24-hour affair, if you said there were pretty much nose-to-tail SP10 cars, first, second and third, I wouldn't have believed you, even though that is a very, very close category. Just because we've had so much yellow, we've had so many Code 6s, it tends to sort of split a category like that apart, but that is not the case in SP10 today. Fabian Schiller still chasing his teammate in very changeable conditions, and I think you were echoing my thoughts, Snowy, that having the two team cars running at such close quarters, it only takes one incident to potentially affect both of them. And actually Lucas Auer, with his sideways moment at Brunchen, will have had Fabian Schiller's heart in his mouth, because if the car in front spins, where are you going to go? So I don't think this is by design, but Winwood Racing can just find themselves in this situation.
Well, not only Fabian Schiller's heart in his mouth, but your team manager will also just be, please, boys, don't stop.
Play nicely.
Yes, I'm aging more than the time is passing.
Well, this time Schiller's not going to be close enough to pull off an overtake. He said, yeah, he is catching.
But I think you're right, John. It's not enough to make any notable difference. But again, you can't then relax. So I can't relax now because obviously you might just pop out. But there's nothing to be done on this particular lap. I've noticed a prediction on my system here, Johnny, that we've got predicted 126 laps for the race.
Okay.
Which means there's only 89 laps to go. 37 completed.
We've broken the back of it, I think. No, to use a bit of golf terminology, we're barely on the front nine, let alone the run to home. So Schiller, a much better exit out of Hohenrhein and across the main start-finish straight into AMG Arena, where we don't use most of the corners within that. Instead, it's the Ravenel S, the right, the left. There's really not much space at all there. Well, it feels like there isn't. You could, if you tried hard enough, get cars about 5 abreast, actually, snaking their way through. but you do need a lot of understanding.
Yeah, teammates cat and mouse going on here, Johnny. If you look at Fabian Schiller, as he went into turn 1 there, he's having a position the car down the inside. He's not going to make any effort to go down the inside at all, but what he is going to do is place his car in the offside mirror of Lucas Auer right in front of him, just to say, I'm here, this is where I am. If you notice then, he turns sharper right as he goes through turn 2, he moves to the other side. He's not positioning, he's not trying to hunt him down, he's just basically putting his car in the mirrors and trying to distract him and just say, I'm here, I'm still here, we might be teammates, I'm not going to run into you, but you're not going to run away either. You can't just disappear off. I am a racing driver and I do want to be in front of you. You know, I'm watching you,
Yeah,
and you better be watching me, which means if you're watching me, you're not watching the road. And this is what we often say, we use a phrase quite a lot in motorsport, that the car behind pushed the driver in front into a mistake. Not physically, it's a non-contact sport, it does happen, unfortunately, occasionally, but you don't physically push the car into a mistake, you push them mentally into a mistake, because you distract them and put them off, and just basically you get inside the head and scratch around a bit and just be an irritant. So you just go back to being a teenage boy, really.
Yeah, sowing the seed of doubt. But it also means it's actually quite a good visual reference point for Luki Auer. He knows where Schiller is at most points. And will have faith in his teammate, I'm sure, that he's not going to do anything stupid, but he can just glance down in the mirror and say, all right, yeah, there you are. I'm not shaking you. 0.7 of a second is the gap at the start of the lap. How's Mattia Drudi doing? He's posting pretty much identical lap times. Check that out. 9:27.2 from the race leader, 9:27.3 from the second place car, 9:27.2 from the third place car. Just incredible consistency from two different front engine machines. Then you've got the 2:19.1 from Dan Harper, who's now only 3 and a bit seconds off the tail of Mattia Drudi. And he might have a bit of a fight on his hands now, as the Irishman is starting to close in. The Ulsterman, who has spent a long time in his still fairly early career living at this place, putting laps in at this place after signing a deal with BMW, much like Neil Verhagen and Max Hesser have done through the years as well. Lawrence Vanthoor pits in the number 24 Lion Speed Porsche, and that car due for a new set of tyres and some fuel, crucially, as well. But Snowy and I are pretty sure that the pit stop for Conor De Filippi was an early one to get that car off the full wet and onto an intermediate, quite possibly, whereas the Mercedes are still pounding around, separated by 0.2 of a second at the start of this lap. Now Dan Harper is truly with Mattia Drudi, so we might even get an overtake on the Grand Prix circuit for the chasing Rover Racing BMW.
And just remember, Johnny, that Dan Harper was turned around on the very first lap of this start, and he was obviously in Group 1, and dropped right to the back of the SB9 start group completely, not where he wanted to be at all. And I think, as you said, it was a 3-into-1 where there was a car on the inside moved across a little bit, the car next to Dan moved across, and it just, that domino effect, and it just popped Dan Harper around at the beginning of the first lap, which is not ideal at the start of a 24-hour race, but just goes to prove that you get your head down, patience, 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 and look at him, he's now in 4th place, challenging for 3rd overall.
The other thing that I just spotted that is under investigation is the contact between Klaus Bachler and Conor De Filippi in their 44 Falcon Motorsport Porsche and 81 BMW Touring. I do remember describing that at the time, so there was definitely a collision, and now that is under investigation to potentially apportion blame. And
this 24 hours of Nurburgring broadcast is brought to you by Mother's High Performance Car Care, formulated for fanatics. Give it that mother's love.
Oh! Hutchie's down.
What happened has already happened. And as much as we may want to, we can't change the past. But what we can do is move forward. Time and time again, they try to stop me.
The top 4 are separated by under half a second.
I never let them win, they'll never top me. When you're on top, you're a target. Backed in the corner, back against the wall. If I fall, I'm a goner. Giving it my all for the cause, you can call up me. I'm everything you see and some more, bruh. Cause I can't but you get me. At the time of our lives, with our eyes on the prize.
The fans are going mad as he comes down the finish straight here.
Push forward, keep going, never look back. Push it like that. Push it like that. Push it like that. To the maximum.
At Mothers, we appreciate the simple things, the life less complicated. That's the inspiration behind Mother's new California Gold ceramic line of products. The easiest way to clean, correct, and protect your way to a whole new level of deep, ceramic, glass-like clarity, superior hydrophobic protection, and head-turning shine. Mother's California Gold. Ceramic made simple. Give it that mother's love.
This isn't just a motorcycle. It's an engineering miracle. A time machine.
It's a good friend. It's all your friends.
It's your inner child. And it's all the stars in the sky.
It's a highway to your final form.
And as America's #1 motorcycle insurer, Progressive protects whatever it means to you.
Wait, are you talking to me? Sorry, I can't hear anything with this thing on. This isn't just a
No,
motorcycle.
I started.
Oh, that's you, sorry.
Backed in the corner, back against the wall. If I fall, I'm a goner. Giving it my all for the cause, you can call up me. I'm everything you see and some more, bruh. Cause I can't let you get me. At the time of our lives, with our eyes on the prize.
The fans are going mad as he comes down the finish straight here.
Push forward, keep going, never look back. Push it like that. Push it like that. To the maximum. Time is the most valuable asset that we have. You can make time, or you can waste time. But the question is,
This is a wild, wild beginning here.
how will you use it?
145 miles an hour.
Set, go. You didn't play to lose.
He's absolutely flying right now.
Go! Keep going till your time's up. Don't fall, just climb up. Keep pushing because time waits for no one. Get it in while you can. Gotta execute the plan. Keep pushing because time waits for no one. Time waits for no one. Time waits for no one. Time waits for no one.
Difficult conditions when you're on slick tires, with some tracks, some part of the tracks where it's wet, some dry, some a bit more wet, some it's very tricky, to be honest, to stay on track. But yeah, I mean, at the end it's a very long race, and a lot of things can still happened already, and yeah, we try to focus to stay on track and try to survive.
I was just going to ask you, we were talking a few minutes ago, and it's perfect you've come into the booth now, and thank you, because you get an insight, because you're out in this race and doing it. We were talking about what goes through a driver's mind. We watch it and we talk about it. When you're in, you drive on a track in certain conditions with the right tyre, and then those conditions change and you're on completely the wrong tyre. And we watched Matthias Drudy having to bring the Atom back, tippy-toe it round, and we're all watching it bring it back, because we want the car to finish, obviously, irrespective of its place. What do you do? What happens when you're out there driving and all of a sudden you're on slicks, and somewhere like here you get a hailstorm, or it's suddenly into? What do you do?
Yeah, that's the difficult part. It's like you really, it's easy to take it very, very easy and then to lose a lot of time. But then it's super easy to try not to lose time and just lose a car. So it's to be honest, it's you just have to go a bit on the feeling, trying to see even slower cars, when you catch slower cars, see how they react, if there is grip, no grip, and try to adapt as much as you can. But yeah, in these conditions, it's more like rally than anything else.
We were talking about that earlier on. I expect the front tyres to be problematic around here, particularly at the end of the lap. You've come down the Dottinger Hall, they've cooled down, getting through Tegarten at the very, very end. I can see through the screens, trying to find some grip. But even some of the straighter stretches, seems like the back tyres weren't even holding, the rears weren't even holding any kind of heat on it, and it was, listening to the throttle application, it was really, really...
What is very difficult to understand or to see when you're from the outside is that when you're with slick tires and you come to a full wet track, it's literally like you're going on ice.
Yeah.
So you have basically nearly 80% out of control. So you really try to, with this 20% left, to try to minimize the loss.
What you can't see is Maxim Martinez in the booth of the AMG Mercedes driver. He is showing us with his fingertips and thumb as if he had it on the steering wheel, and feeling it with the lightest of touch.
And that's what is very difficult. It's like, because you're like on ice, you don't control everything, and that's where it's very easy to lose it. It's very easy to crash, and you try to survive, but sometimes it's out of your control. So yeah, that makes it very difficult.
This generation of cars have ABS and traction control, which is very different settings. In those conditions, would you adjust that to your advantage so that you can hopefully go a bit quicker and let the car do a bit more work for you, or are you more like-minded to leave it where you know the car is and go on, as you said, the driver feel? What's the preference?
Especially TC, you try to have more TC helping you to understand a bit more, and that the TC helps you, especially with the rear tires, to get out of the corners without having big slides and big moments. ABS, you don't really change so much.
You don't want to go drifting then?
No, because you try to drift, but you try to find the fine line. But ABS is something you can't really change so much, because there's no ABS done for slicks on wet. So at the end, you just try to survive. What is very difficult, I mean, ABS is helping a lot, because at the end, when you brake, you're in the ABS, it saves you compared to if you would...
Sarenberg again with that BAFTA award nomination from Peter Snowden earlier on, and it's the 48th position car. Was that the number 48 car in there? The 176 is in trouble, which is the Pro Sport Racing Mercedes AMG, and that is the leader in SP10. That was the battle that Johnny was talking about. And in second place in SP10 is the Hoffa Racing by Bonk BMW. And has that gone by? We haven't seen it go by yet, because that's a Porsche Class 4 that Cup 4 rather, that is involved.
Yeah, it's the 176 Mercedes GT4 that's lost it on the way.
Yeah, that's the leader.
But taken out the Porsche.
Yeah.
He's lost it down the inside. Yeah. Just wiped the other one out. So the Porsche is an entirely innocent victim, and the Mercedes driver won't be very happy about that either, because you don't want to take anybody else out. No. It's not ideally.
No,
you don't want to do that.
No, and he tried to pass, but then, like, again, maybe a wet patch, maybe more wet than expected, and then you start to lose control.
More fingertips.
More fingertips.
Yeah, it's difficult.
I was watching earlier on one of the onboards, and I never did a lot of karting years ago, but I did a little bit of karting. And as I was watching the guys, I was sort of doing that with my backside, like you would have done. You can't say what I'm doing. You sort of move your backside across to kick the cart out to try and get some movement and some rotation. And it's like, oh my goodness, it's unbelievable. Why is Arenberg being such a hot spot this year, an action area? I've never seen so many incidents at Arenberg.
But Schwegenkreuz, so the left before, is a very high-speed corner. So
has that been resurfaced this year?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Right.
But you come with a lot of speed. For us, it's GT3. In the dry, you're around 260, and then you have a big braking zone. And if, for any reason, it starts drizzling, it comes from there, you brake. Coming from 260, you're on slicks, it's a bit wet, it's super easy to lose it, to be honest. So.
I love how you just say that so casually. Coming from 260.
260, it's so easy to lose it. Yeah.
60 miles an hour is beyond most people's understanding of driving a car full stop. Then we're going into a slow corner, so it's quite a heavy brake zone. So 100. It sound like it's just driving to the shops to get your paper or your milk. Yeah.
160 miles an hour on slicks in the wet, coming over the top of the brow into a blind corner. Piece of cake, eh?
No,
or on fingertips.
That's why some things can
That's
happen.
why you guys get the big bucks, mate, I tell you. You know, because you and I have known each other for quite a long time, you know how much respect I have for you guys when I watch you race all over the world. It's grown even more this week watching what you've had. And I've been coming here since 2007 to talk about this race. I've never seen conditions that have been so... I've seen conditions where we've had half an hour, 2 hours race stopped sometimes. But the constant changing of the conditions.
Exactly, that's very difficult. Because if it's now fully rain and we all go with wet tires, it's a difficult for sure. But at the end, it's also... You know, we know the track in the way. We know the track. Here, you never know what you get. You know, you come to a corner, it's wet. You come to another corner, it's dry, and it makes it very intense and very difficult. On top with 160 cars, so on top of that you have all the traffic in the middle.
And so many in the top class that are the quick SP9s. What was it? 41
cars.
Yeah,
So it's incredible to be honest.
Yeah, really is. We're into the pit stops. By the way, the BMW M3 Touring did do an 8-lap stint, so it wasn't a lap early. Okay. That was the first thing I checked when I came back in.
Okay. We've got Filippi when he changed from the wets to the slicks.
Yes, but he did manage an 8-lap stint in that number 81 car.
We are still in on the wets. This is not.
Hang on, that one's not up to date.
That's a long time.
I have just come in from the other room, so I need to reset everything and reload so that I've got all the strategy screens.
We are still out.
5 stops from your guys. And then the
6 stops.
6 stops, sorry, yes. Down for these guys.
So we are still on wets.
Yeah. But it's greasy, so how much do you lose then when on the dry bits as to